starts from 8 to 10. Lots to talk about today, but I want to just throw out the a call-in number, because I think it's really important that I want to interact with you. The call-in number 011 680 0355. I'll double check if that number's changed for a moment. 011 680 0355. Otherwise, the WhatsApp number 061 766 0355. 061 766 0355. Now, you may want to comment in particular around two things. One is the ending of the national state of disaster. It ended last night, 750 days later. Can you quite believe? Can you remember the date it was announced? I was at a birthday party and then the world changed, isn't it? So can you remember that day, on that Sunday, when the president announced that this country was going to go into a severe lockdown, and he called it the war against the unseen? I sort of remember that very, very clearly, right? In all those years, what do you make out of that one there? And the second part of it is, I want to get your thoughts on, in terms of Ramadan, particularly around the issue of the ending of the national state of disaster. If you've been going for Tarawih, do you see a difference? Because I mean, there's been 3 Ramadan Tarawihs now with the state of with regard to lockdown. Okay, year 1 complete shutdown, year 2 open with social distancing, year 3 open. Some are social distancing, others not. What has been your experience? I'm talking about over the 3 years. And what do you make of it right now? So I welcome your thoughts. Anytime you wish to connect with me, you can do so. Also follow us on social media, Salam Media, as well as you can follow me anytime, on Twitter in particular, at Ashraf Garda, right? And the program itself is brought to you by African Muslims Agency. Imagine a world where every family has food for suhoor and iftar in Ramadan. And as you think on that, call AMA on 010 0722 262. You've got that? 010 0722 262.
To avoid calamity and despair. The Al-Imdad Foundation gives you the opportunity to sponsor a share in a borehole in South Africa for just 1,000 Rand and provide what the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, called the best form of charity. Donate online at alimdad.com or call 0861 786 243 for more information.
World-class financial services only at Sapphire Global, your financial partner. If you are looking for Islamic Sharia and ethical financial products, look no further. Sapphire Global offers a wide range of financial service offerings, from short-term to life and investments. A full-service center with all financial requirements under one brand. Our highly skilled and experienced consultants are ready to help protect your financial future. Contact us on 041 001 0184 or visit our website on www.sapphireglobalfs.com. Sapphire Global is an authorized financial services provider.
Zakah has the power to end extreme poverty. If the whole world gave zakah, it could end extreme poverty many times over. Islamic Relief has been distributing zakah for over 38 years. Our zakah policy complies with strict Sharia guidelines. It's endorsed by qualified scholars, and it only goes to eligible rights holders. So, harness the power of your zakah with Islamic Relief.
Are you looking for a cross-border road transport company that is committed in achieving high safety standards, who is fast and efficient, and also excel in customer service? Garda Global specializes in cross-border transport from South Africa to Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Zambia, and Malawi. Garda Global, situated at 10 Daniel Road, Benrose, Johannesburg. For inquiries, contact our trained staff on 011 614 3108 or email info@gardaglobal.co.za. Safe long haul into Africa is our business. Garda Global Transport.
It's been a household name for years. It's been an important ingredient in South African kitchens, and it's been an affordable, healthy choice for your family. Helios. First our pure sunflower cooking oil, and now introducing Helios margarines and spreads, following the same traditions and tastes you've grown to love and trust from Helios. Fortified with vitamins A, D, and E, also rich in omega-3 and 6 essential fatty acids for a healthy eating lifestyle. Helios margarine and spreads, available now at all leading South African supermarkets. Helios margarine, the tradition lives on.
This is the Ashraf Garda Show, live and exclusive on Salam Media and One Nation FM.
Disaster and basically what your thoughts are. In fact, some suggesting it was absolutely necessary. Well, I would think it was necessary to be able to reduce the rate of infection, wasn't it, around COVID-19? But many others believe it was an abuse of power at one stage, and massive abuse of civil liberties, and it's absolutely about time. It certainly meant that that the free flow of movement of people didn't quite happen, and it was severely restricted, and therefore had an impact on the economy as well. So you may have many thoughts on that. We'll talk about it. In fact, I'll take your calls anytime on that as well. 011 680 0355. But if you're up to WhatsApp, either text or voice notes, 061 766 0355. Now, that comes up just now. We'll talk about that. Let's talk about what we call anti-immigrant activism. It certainly has been on the rise from on the one hand, political people, then people in various communities who are very blatant about wanting these foreigners out. So, and therefore, that phrase, anti-immigrant activism. So activists to try and get immigrants out of the country. What do you make of it, and where do you sit on this? Let's get two takes on this one here. First up, Dr. Vusi Sibanda, who's from the African Diaspora Forum. Dr. Sibanda, appreciate your time. Good morning.
Good morning, and good morning to your listeners.
Thank you. Now, so first of all, I mean, we framed it as anti-immigrant activism, and I'm going to add on to say it appears to be on the rise. Do you agree that it's on the rise?
Yes, it is much on the rise, and particularly with the coming in of political parties that are clearly against, migrants, coming into South Africa and maybe borrowing this from the Trump regime.
When you say political parties, which parties are you referring to?
Well, there is Action SA is one of them, and the Patriotic Alliance is the second one. It used to be an issue, about around 2016, when the DA did come up with strong sentiments about, porous borders. But, the DA has changed drastically in its policy from what we had from the shadow minister that deals with, I think, international relations, giving us statistics of actually the percentage, of crime that is committed by migrant community as, taken from State SA and, the other, sources of data. So now it is squarely on the foot of these small parties that are coming up, and we have seen also the ANC not being, very decisive, about it, especially with a number of MPs and ministers, that have always shared such sentiments. For example, like the Minister of Home Affairs, who has always been anti-migrant from when he was Minister of Health, and at one stage claimed that 8 out of 10, children that were born in hospitals were in public hospitals, for example, like Para, were migrant children, which could not be further from the truth. And of course, there is an incident that cannot be overlooked, where the Minister of Police recently, in one of the most, scary, incidents that took place in Rosettenville, where he went out to say 20 out of 25 criminals that were arrested, in a cash in transit, a heist group were from Zimbabwe, when that was then refuted by the statistics, and he never bothered to correct that.
Interesting. So where then do you sit as the African Diaspora Forum? And you listen to all this type of pronouncements. I mean, what is the purpose of the African Diaspora Forum, and where do you sit on this issue?
Well, look, the purpose of the African Diaspora is obviously to try and share information and enlighten, people about, what is not true and what is true, and the misconceptions, around, migration and the scapegoating, of, government officials and, other people about the failures, of the functioning of the systems, or government systems, and then, saying the reason for those failures are migrants. And ideally, remember, our main goal is to try and bring social cohesion and integration, between migrant and communities, and to make these two work together and realize that, migrants are not the enemies, but migrants are people that have migrated for various reasons. And obviously, they are not necessarily in the country to come, and create crime or take anything away from, native South Africans.
Okay. But do you agree? Do you agree that anti-migrant activism is on the rise itself? That means it's more so now than before, or is that an exaggeration?
No, it's not an exaggeration. It is indeed on the rise, very much so.
Okay, so if that's the case, then if your purpose at the African Diaspora Forum is to reduce that risk of the anti-migrant activism, and notwithstanding, I mean, you're not government, I know that, right? But do you then agree that in fact you've not succeeded? You have failed in being able to minimize this level of anti-immigrant sentiment?
Well, look, I think what we have seen so far, if you look at, we had a march as Kopanang Africa against, xenophobia, which is a collection of, organizations, CSOs, that stand against, such activities. And of course, I mean, we have since seen, a number of people, including the president himself, coming up and showing that, look, they are not also happy and pleased about this. Starting from when Dudula came up, there wasn't much that was being said from, a lot of organizations. But when we took this out, and blamed, condemned it, completely, we've also seen quite a number of organizations coming up, that do understand and care to understand, to say, no, this is wrong. So where we're standing right now, we see that, for example, a lot of people are all saying Operation Dudula is wrong and unlawful and vigilantism. So to a huge extent, I think we are making, strides into trying and get everybody realize that vigilantism as it is unacceptable and unlawful.
So what then is the solution? Meaning between a country, a sovereign nation, on the one hand, that allows immigrants from other countries, in this case Africa, right, into the country legally. Then there's a hell of a question mark about undocumented and therefore illegal immigrants. That's the two parts of it. And the third part of it is that even when they are legal, there's a sense that for many people in South Africa, that the country is reeling in terms of infrastructure and therefore cannot cope with the flood of people in hospitals, in schools. I liken that to a house with 3 bedrooms. It can house maybe 6 people at most, but it can't house 30 people. And that's the sense from South Africa, that the country is reeling with that sort of thing, and therefore these people need to be moved out. Where's your sentiments on that?
Well, look, the issue is basically that we are against, illegal, migration. We would like to see everyone coming into the country, coming in legally. And South Africa has got laws that prohibit, like any other, country, illegal immigration. So indeed, we would like to see migrants that come into South Africa doing so lawfully, trying to comply, or complying with the laws of the country. And then the general sense that we see from those people that are ordinarily anti-migrant and feel that, people should not come into South Africa. South Africa is reeling in terms of infrastructure because of, migrants. We believe that is a very, a false and untrue, sentiment that is not based on fact. It's not factual. It's basically, people thumb sucking, picking figures that don't really exist and making those claims. And we would like to see a situation where, for example, South Africa is not an island. It is a country amongst countries. It is allowed to legislate, put its laws. When it has put its laws, those laws that are challenged are laws that violate the Constitution of South Africa, the conventions, international conventions that South Africa ratifies. So where we stand up as migrant and organizations that support migrant rights and say this is unlawful, it is not something that we just speak out of the vacuum. It is based on what South Africa ratifies as the law and its constitution.
So consistent with South Africa's own values and ideals that make South Africa a most admired country in the world. I mean, that's what you're saying, right? Well, what do you make, however, with particular issues around hospitals and healthcare? And I noticed again this issue of reeling infrastructure, that there's I mean, there is overflooding of our hospitals, even with South Africans, because government can't cope at public hospitals, and that's a given, right? But I see the DA has made a point to say, at the very least, that foreign nationals who live in the country, effectively their hospital bills must be footed by their countries of origin. I mean, does that make any sense to you?
Well, it does. Look, ideally, what we are saying is that, for example, if we are talking about, maybe illegal migrants, or rather irregular migrants, people that are not, regular in the country, it will only make sense, to say, let the countries of origin contribute, towards this infrastructure, because it makes it difficult even for South Africa to plan. But however, on the overall, the issue is basically that migrants living in South Africa that are working are contributing to the national purse of the country. It's a very myopic view, and is again not supported, by data that is real, because every migrant, including those that are irregular, by the way, they contribute to the tax purse of this country because they consume food, they use public transport, and everything that they use, which they pay money for, they pay tax. So it is very myopic to say that any person, now mark that, any person is having a free ride, because that is based on a false sense of thinking that the only person contributing towards the tax purse is someone who earns and pays, employee tax. But that's not the only tax that is paid in the country. It's a small fraction of the tax. So ideally, every person living in South Africa, including pensioners, contribute to the tax purse, and no one should be excluded, from using such services, except that maybe it's yes.
Yeah, okay. I think that's a very important point. Let's leave it at that. I'm pretty sure we're going to have different opportunities down the line to talk to you once again, Dr. Vusi Sibanda from the African Diaspora Forum, raising their thoughts on the issue of this growing anti-migrant or anti-immigrant sentiment, which I must tell you, from my personal thoughts, you certainly want people documented, but you don't ever want to get into a situation where you're othering a whole lot of people. That is just so out of sync with what South Africa should be standing for in the first place. That's one take. Let's get another thought from Sello Lediga, and he'll come up right after this. Okay.
That through SANZAF, you can provide a meal to an individual for only 12 Rand. By committing to a monthly contribution, you can assist us in reaching out to more communities and deserving individuals. A once-off donation will also be highly appreciated in helping us achieve our monthly target. For more information, call us on 011 834 6046. SANZAF, changing lives through development and relief.
Babu, why don't you loosen your belt a bit more?
But why now?
Well, it's very tight, blocking air to your brain.
Haju, this is only a start. I need to tighten up a bit more. Funds are tight and the cost of living is high.
Funds are not tight. It's your haram insurance which is tightening our barakat.
Okay, Haju. I will call my insurance friend tomorrow.
Maybe I must tighten up on my cooking from now on too.
No, Haju, we don't need to tighten up. It's okay. Look, I'm even throwing away my belt.
Don't tighten your belt. Change your insurance. Leaving Riba Insurance is easier than you think. Call Amana IFS for all your personal and commercial takaful needs. 0861 786 393. Amana, leave Riba for good. Amana IFS is a registered financial services provider.
One of the most important things you can do on this earth is to let people know they are not alone. That the frustration of communities who struggle to earn the very basic is not their cry alone. Discharging your zakah is the starting point for creating a sustainable community and taking action. It's the impetus for creating lasting change and hope. Donate your zakah to the Al-Fida Foundation, supporting over 10,000 Muslim families in the Eastern and Western Cape of South Africa. We need your help to assist our neighbors of need. Contact the Al-Fida Foundation at 041 484 1288 or view or visit our website at www.alfida.co.za. The Al-Fida Foundation, your partner in social investment.
Abu Huraira narrated that he heard the Prophet Muhammad, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, say, "In black seed there is a healing for every disease except death." This Ramadan, experience the health benefits of this ancient blessed seed by using the Tib Black Seed range. Black seed assists the body to boost immunity, regulate blood sugar levels, reduce inflammation, and act as a potent antioxidant. Experience a holistic approach to health by introducing the Tib Black Seed range into your Ramadan routine. Available in capsules, pure cold-pressed oil, and a vapor rub. Trust Tib Health Sciences for quality black seed products. For more information, visit blackseed.co.za. Available at leading pharmacies. The Ashraf Garda Show, 8 to 10 a.m. on Salam Media.
Comments, we'll get to that we always welcome comments, certainly, with regards to the conversations that we have, and do so right away, particularly around the ending of the national state of disaster, as well as the issue of what we talk about, anti-immigrant activism on the rise, and that number 011 680 0355, WhatsApp's 061 766 0355. But you can also post on the various social media platforms from Salam Media. You can add your comments. You can, in fact, add comments after myself on Twitter. If you find me, you should, Ashraf Garda, right? In fact, Afzal Nur Muhammad doing just that, saying what is disappointing is that the government has no clear policy on the issue. Floodgates are open for anyone and everyone to enter the country illegally. Terrible border controls and rampant corruption. Our infrastructure, such as schools and hospitals, cannot cope. We also have high unemployment. That's one view, of course. Let's get another thought on this one here. Having chatted to Vusi Sibanda from the African Diaspora Forum, we have a political analyst in the shape of Sello Lediga. Sello, good chatting to you. Good morning.
Hey, Ashraf Garda, welcome to Salam Media. Good morning. And your
Thank you, and appreciate your contribution in advance, right? So, what do you make? So we talk about, I mean, we've sort of described this anti-immigration activism, and we're saying it's on the rise. I mean, do you think it is on the rise, or is that incorrect?
Yeah, but Ashraf, until we take the origin of the problem, I think we may even find ourselves, emphasizing what is not important. Let me try in a few seconds to deal with this. In 1990, the ANC and the other liberation movements are banned, and the leaders from all over the world, and Oliver Tambo was in Zambia and all that, they come back home, In 1994, Nelson Mandela becomes the president of the Republic of South Africa. And most of the leaders are from exile, and they have solidarity with the countries where they were, during the struggle. And what happens now is the real problem. While the apartheid regime was illegitimate and had to tighten the borders, the ANC that goes to the extreme. Nelson Mandela switches off the electric fence, the borders are open for everyone to come in. I think that's very important to start with, And then, South Africa is this attractive destination for most of the people, both in Africa.
But maybe Sello, if I can interject you, I just want to get this very clear, right? What is your view regarding South Africa's immigration policy, right? So of migrants, right, from Africa, and what is your view about South Africa's implementation of that policy or lack thereof? I mean, just that first part, then we'll talk more. Yeah.
No, the policy. Ashraf is international. That's why I'm taking your time. The policy is international. When you go to a country, it's either you are visiting and then you are properly processed. And this is the way asylum. When people come into the country and seek asylum, it is mainly because of three things: that they are politically persecuted in their countries, they are religiously persecuted, or they are persecuted on the basis of sexual orientation and all that, Now, it does not mean that South Africa needs any immigration policy that is not there. The problem, Ashraf Garda, is that people come into the country and do as they wish because the ANC government for 28 years has not been able to implement what it already has in the law. So until you implement that and make sure that the borders are not porous, people are still going to come into the country, especially after 2008, in what happened in Zimbabwe after 2008.
Okay, so that's the first part. So Sello, yeah. That's the first part. You're saying implementation of the policy by South Africa is wrong, yes. Right? Or we're not doing it well. So what would you change regarding implementation? Yeah, what would you change on the implementation side?
The starting point, Ashraf, is that you stop the porousness of the borders. you make sure that people don't come into the country. Look, let me tell you, you can talk about documented and undocumented, but if they go in and out as they wish because the borders are porous, you still have a problem. The Department of Home Affairs can only deal with these people when they are already in the country and processing and all that. That is the first thing. I do not understand why you've got an army with thousands of soldiers, who are actually just exercising, wherever they are, and they never protect the borders of the country. So the first thing would be to deal with the borders. The second thing, obviously, is to make sure that Home Affairs does what it has to do, in terms of documenting. For instance, if you ask the Minister of Home Affairs how many illegal immigrants are in this country, he simply doesn't know because he cannot know. There's no way of knowing, until the first one is dealt with. So at the end of the day, the ANC government must take responsibility for failure to implement even international protocols when dealing with matters of immigration.
Okay, I think you make a fair point. I think you make a fair point, Sello, right? Let's then move on. So yes, they need to fix themselves up, but goodness, the ANC needs to fix its own party, and we know that. I mean, there's just huge problems within their own political sphere of the ANC, right? Now, moving on, right? So outside of the porous borders, there are people in South Africa who are born in other countries. They're in South Africa, whether they've sought asylum to come here, whether they've applied for citizenship, whether they're studying here, whatever the reasons are, they're in the country, they are documented. Then there are many others who are undocumented. Once they are in the country, what is your thoughts of how South Africa as a country should be treating these foreign immigrants?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, this is the hard one. You've got no solution, Ashraf, until you find them, you take them back to their countries, and they come back properly and you process them. Any other thing will not work. I can assure you, I know this will sound extreme, but if you are not even able to do what I've just said, how are you going to document them? Where do you know? They are in the Eastern Cape, they are in KwaZulu-Natal, they are in Limpopo. How are you going to document them, And remember, because of corruption in the Department of Home Affairs, some of them have already acquired the documents that they need, to find jobs and all that, So at the end of the day, and unfortunately South Africa at some stage will have to take this decision to say, if you are not documented, you need to go out to leave this country, or you'll be hunted down by the government, get out of the country, and you can come back properly. This
okay, got that. Yeah. All right, I understand that. What then do you make? All right, yes. I understand that part, and I think it's a very interesting point. What then do you make about the sentiments from many organizations, some political parties, right, including Operation Dudula, basically wanting to remove foreign nationals, but whether they're making the distinction between documented and undocumented, I don't know. What are your thoughts around what they say?
Dudula is the product of the ANC government. If the ANC government had done its work, there would be no need for Dudula. Nature does not allow a vacuum. So I'll never support vigilantism. But I can tell you, Ashraf, the ordinary people in the township, not the middle class and the rich who live in suburbs and who are in parliament, are the ones that are battling for limited resources with foreigners, And that is why the fight is over there in the townships, in the squatter camps. You can sit, holily in parliament and say, this is right, this is wrong. But at the end of the day, a South African without a job, who sees a foreigner coming from work, with a plastic, whether Pick and Pay or ShopRite with food, feels jealous and believes that this should have been my job. These South Africans must be protected by their government, which has failed to do so in 28 years.
So lastly, two things, right? What for you is the immediate solution, and what for you is the long-term solution?
The immediate solution is border control. The long-term solution is to ensure that the state has the capability of finding out who is legitimately in South Africa and who is not legitimately in South Africa, and start the process of documenting those who deserve to be in this country, and then make sure that those that do not deserve to be in this country must go back to their countries. Their embassies are here, by the way. Don't even have to take them to the borders. You've got to take them to their embassies here in Pretoria, and the embassies must be able to deal with them, Ashraf Garda. And that
okay, got that. Sello, Lediga, I appreciate your time, political analyst there, with another take on that one. And maybe the third one missing from this conversation, I'm not saying it's wrong, is there somebody who may vouch for a more humane approach to this thing, to say, come on, just open the borders. These are our people. We are Africans. This is all one big country, the continent, that is. You have any thoughts on that? I want to know. You can also post on social media, but also, as always, you can call in live 011 680 0355. Want to hear from you, engage with you. Otherwise, WhatsApp voice notes 061 766 0355. More to come, including, we don't have a national state of disaster any longer. Really, the world has changed. We'll talk about that in a moment.
Imagine fasting